Razorback is the worst designed weapon in TF2. Now, just before I start, I need to give you a massive disclaimer. I'm not saying that Razorback is a weak or bad weapon. It does exactly what it says and does, and it's all around pretty well balanced. All I'm saying is that from game design perspective, Razorback is bad. In 2009, there was an update for Team Fortress 2 called the Sniper vs Spy update, which among other things added 6 new weapons. Watching Paint Dry Simulator, Useless After Jungle Inferno, Useless After Jungle Inferno Part 2, A Jar of Pee, I Can't Aim But I Still Want to Play Sniper, and Fuck You, Stop Playing Smart. Fuck you, stop playing Spy, I outsmarted you, counterplay bitch. I don't think it's hard to grasp by now that I am an edgy spy main, and that I dislike the Razorback. But why? Am I just bitter that there is an item that counters my main class? Well, not really. I just realized that I didn't really explain what Razorback is, and there might be new players to TF2 that watch this video, so I'll briefly explain. As Spy, when you get behind enemy with your knife, you can one-shot them with backstab. Razorback, in exchange for your secondary slot, allows you to stop Spy from backstabbing you. When Spy backstabs you, he breaks your Razorback and he can't do anything for 2 seconds. Also, you can't be overhealed when wearing Razorback, which makes you more vulnerable to other snipers. Because without overheal you have 125 health, and headshot deals 150 damage. Okay, I think that explanation is good enough. Let's return to the video. I feel like the best way to approach this rant is to look at Zesty Jesus' definition of bad weapon laid down in his video about Gaspasser. Zesty's 4 ways to analyze item are as follows. Does it work? Is it balanced? Is it skill-based? And is it fun to play with or play against? Does it work and is it balanced? It does exactly what it says and does, and it's all around pretty well balanced. Yes, there is no problem with how it works, and the no overkill is a good counterbalance. On paper. You effectively remove one of your 2 main counters as Sniper, that being Spy, so being more vulnerable to your second counter seems fine. Although I don't feel like total lack of overheal is a good counterbalance. It's a bit much. I would rather make it so overheal is capped at low value and it drains faster. But in those 2 ways, Razorback is a good weapon. Also, you obviously lose your secondary slot, which could be called a downside in balance because of how good most sniper secondaries are. But I would much rather talk about it in rule 3, which is skill. Does Razorback require skill to be used effectively? Do I even need to answer this question? Well, I will anyway, cause there's way more into it than you probably think. Short answer, no, Razorback doesn't require skill from the user to be used properly. For starters, what does it actually require of you? You lose your secondary, meaning when Spy breaks your Razorback, you either have to rely on good quickscope, your team, or random critical on your melee. The skill of having to have better aim at close distance or just being close to your team is not mandatory because of Razorback itself, but the fact it replaces your secondary. In other words, this is the same amount of skill you need to use anything but SMG or SMG but worse in your secondary slot. So I wouldn't really say it requires skill. In fact, Razorback actively reduces the skill required to be a halfway decent sniper. It's a passive weapon, meaning it doesn't require aim, timing, teamwork, positioning, movement, or ammo management. It's a problem that affects all fully passive items, you just need to remember that you have them equipped. But Razorback problems don't end here, no. Then it would just be an underwhelming passive weapon. Razorback actively removes your need of Spy awareness and highly reduces need of great positioning, because Spy can't really kill you so easily in most situations. Also, countering Spy isn't rocket science, it's just game sense. Just use fucking headphones! Spy Decloak sound is very unique in the game, so you should be able to hear it in most situations as Sniper, since you are not really in frontline, so your ears don't bleed from sound effects. Finally, is Razorback fun to play with or play against. No! No, hell no! I don't think there is any fun factor in playing with Razorback, other than fucking up spies. Which I can imagine being somewhat satisfying to people that don't really understand this class. There is also a lot of frustration for Razorback users when they still get two-shot by spies using Spaghetti, Ambi, or game design is hard. Hell, even Stock or the Invisible Man can kill you in 3 shots if Spy has good aim, which admittedly isn't that common. Razorback doesn't block spies, it is an inconvenience, like turtleneck that's a little too tight. Regardless of balance, when as spy I see Razorback Sniper, I don't think, oh cool, now I need to gun him down or try to do some wild matador, and he loses over here and he's secondary for it, so it's balanced. I think, another fucker! And gun them down in 2 MB shots. 8 times out of 10 it's successful, but annoying nonetheless. Also, let's talk about how shitty it is for spies. Not just that it blocks backstab, but that it entirely ignores the effort Spy put into getting behind a good positioned sniper. Sneaking between enemy team can be challenging and requires good movement and cloak management. If we want to take down a sniper, it's gonna take a while. Also, if our goal is to take down a specific sniper, to get to him we will probably use the Invisible Man, meaning when we get there, we can't kill him so easily. Oh, and also, Razorback makes it so much easier for sniper allies to notice the spy and kill him. Because if Spy can't backstab and wants to hit his revolver shots without the random bullet spread, he has at least another second of exposure in best case scenario, meaning he lands his shots perfectly with ideal timing for the spread recovery. Even this single second can be more than enough for enemy to notice and kill him, no matter if Spy kills his target or not. You could say that as Spy I should check everywhere to make sure no enemies can see me coming before decloaking. And that's partially true, but in pubs or community servers with 24 players, there is no way to check entire area and remember all enemies before going for a kill. You just get this general vibe of when to attack. Or you attack because your cloak meter ran out. That also works sometimes. In absolute best case scenario, your encounter with Razorback Sniper will take 1 second longer, and it's a lot of time in TF2. Enemy can round the corner to see you cloaking within that second, and probably kill you. Also, in this additional time you are not disguised, so even the worst players in the game who don't even understand how Spy works will still see someone with different color and attack them. Insert not funny racism joke, haha, because I don't know, man. Sometimes you can't afford to shoot a sniper because of his positioning relative to his team, and backstab is the only real way to kill him. So then seeing this plank of wood is just infuriating. What all of this boils down to is the fact that Razorback doesn't really stop spies from killing snipers, most of the time. It just makes them more vulnerable during and after the kill. It's annoying to snipers because of how crippling it is. And it's annoying to spies because of slower assassination potential and bigger risk from snipers' teammates. And one last thing. Spy is a counter to sniper. A hard counter to sniper. Razorback is a counter to Spy. Not only is it counter for one class and one class only, it is also counter on a counter on a counter. There's too many counters! Counters to one specific class are just so annoying. And I don't mean other classes, I mean weapons, because class matchups are based as fuck. Even if the item is not very viable, like Sun on a Stick, it still is annoying to see Scout being able to run to health kit with 1 HP because of lower fire damage? Theoretically, cause in practice no one uses this shit, but you get my point, right? Countering specific class because of item unlock doesn't really give you any fun factor, and it just makes enemies more annoyed. And counter to a counter is just a fucking joke. Like, bitch, I counter you, use your fucking game sense or teamwork to beat me, not use this item that fucks me over basically for free! But now you are probably wondering, hey Yellow Shark, Spy has a weapon that's also a counter to a counter. Isn't that badly designed too? Well, see ya next time.